Hey guys, tip of the day number 6, live life in beta. So how many times has this happened to you where you're kind of working away on something and you have this like fresh insight and you're like, this big aha moment. And then suddenly your heart sinks because you realize that, I should have had this insight last week, because last week was when it was really important. We were making some, critical decisions last week. And now having this insight, now I just, shame on me for not thinking about this last week. And the funny thing is, like, it's a brilliant thing that you're having this flash of insight right now. And for some reason, we tend to undermine its value. And I don't know if it's this feeling like we're, putting a pressure of perfection on ourselves, of we need to show up perfect every time, or we think that it's gonna kind of be a bad look if we admit that we didn't think about this last week, instead of just owning this insight and moving forward with it. And I think on top of that, we have this sense of like permanence of even small things once we've started to put them in motion. And it tends to be very difficult sometimes for us to go back and shift directions, even when we've only started the process for a short time. And so what I'm encouraging us to do is kind of flip that idea on its head by looking at life like a big experiment, like a big beta test, where we're putting ourselves out there, knowing that we're imperfect. We're celebrating our imperfections, because through the process, we're going to make new discoveries, come up with new insights, and we're going to actively bring that back into our lives, implement those things in our lives. And so what I'm encouraging you guys to do, all of us to do, is to look for something in your life where it's not going as well as it could. It's not the most efficient or optimal way you could be doing it. But for some reason, because it's, the way that we've always done it, you haven't changed. You haven't pivoted, or for some reason you're holding yourself back from making a shift, even though you know there's a better way to do this. And explore that, examine it, and say, I'm just gonna put myself out there, and I'm gonna shift directions, and I'm gonna see it like an experiment. I even think that this whole existence is not as permanent as we tend to believe. I personally believe that we are energy, and that there is an eternal and much more permanent existence for us as humans, as souls, beyond like this body and this life. That, if we tune ourselves into that perspective, we actually bring a lot more freedom to ourselves and to our lives. And at the end of the day, I think living life with this sense of intrinsic freedom is so critical. So one quick example, and it relates to these videos. I started these last week, and really kind of flowing with my energy and flowing with my ideas. And I didn't want to think too much before I put them out there. I didn't want to overanalyze. I didn't want to get lost in some kind of, what's the most strategic maneuver for me to get these going. I just wanted to do them. And so I did. And I last week was posting them on my personal timeline because I wanted to target my friend population and make sure that, these insights were going to the people that I loved, and I was showing up on people's news feeds, etc. And over the course of the last week, I've realized that that's actually not the best maneuver. I'm going to, as of today, start to post these on my Facebook page called Gentle Persistence, for a few reasons. One of which being there's just a whole lot more functionality for videos on these pages, because they're revenue generating mechanisms for Facebook. And I think that they give people a lot more tools, including closed captioning, which I'm wanting to put onto these videos because I have a lot of friends from my yoga teacher training in the deaf population. And so I want to make these videos more accessible to everybody. And I'm realizing now that, in order to do that, I need to post them on the page, and it's going to change it a little bit. And even though it seems so minor, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, I still have this voice in the back of my head saying like, oh, but you've started it this way. And oh, are you sure you want to change directions? Oh, is that going to confuse people? And I don't know where that comes from, but I do know that we need to be very intentional about challenging it, because why not? Why can't we evolve? Why can't we grow? Why can't we be imperfect the first time and then imperfect the next time and imperfect after that? Because we are so, 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 so beautiful in our imperfection. And so experiment with life, experiment with everything that you're doing, and cherish your imperfection, because that's what makes you beautiful. Love you guys.